All right. Now, when factoring, we take out a greatest common factor if we can, and then we look at the value of a. If a is bigger than 1 and we can't take out a greatest common factor, then we're going to do a method called slide and divide. I'm going to start with 15 because that's where I have space. I'll go back and give you the answers for 13 and 14. I'd like you to try those out on your own once we get done with these notes. But I'd like you to check your answers. But before I give you the answer for 13 and 14, I want to show you how slide and divide works. So first of all, a is greater than 1. So then we're going to have to do a method called slide and divide. Okay, so the way that works is we're going to take a and multiply it by c and get a new c value. So in this example, I'm going to keep the h squared minus 19h, but I'm going to take 3 and multiply it by negative 40. So that's going to become negative 120. Once I do that, I now have a trinomial where a equals 1, so then I can ask myself, what are two numbers that multiply to be negative 120, but add to be negative 19? Two numbers that multiply to be 120 and add to be negative 19. If you don't know your factors, then it ends in 0. So we either are going to divide it by 10, so 10 times 12, or we're going to divide it by 5. 120 divided by 5 is 24. I need a negative, so 1 will have to be negative. So 10 and 12 would not work because there's no combination that will make a negative 19. If I had a negative 24 and a positive 5, when I combine those, I get a negative 19. Okay, so those are our two factors. So we're going to write these factors over here. I'm going to have h minus 24 times h plus 5. So this was the slide part. This was the slide. Now we're going to do the divide part. When you get your two factors, you then divide by the a that you multiplied in the beginning. So we multiplied a times c in the beginning. A was A was 3, so we now had to divide both pieces by 3. If they divide evenly, go ahead and do that. 24 divided by 3 is 8, so I get h minus 8. If they don't divide evenly, you're going to keep it as a fraction. This is our factored form. On occasion, you won't want it as a fraction. Remember the rule or the tip that anytime I want to get rid of a fraction, I can take that second binomial and I can multiply both pieces by 3. That'll give me h minus 8 and then 3h plus 5. So that'll be 15 over 3, which is 5. Both of those mean the same thing. Sometimes Khan Academy or when you're looking for the factors themselves and not solving, we want the whole numbers sometimes, not the fractions. I like the fractions because it's one less step in solving. So we're going to keep the fractions. I'm just letting you know that these two are the same. This means the same thing as this. Okay. All right, so that was slide and divide. We're going to repeat the process again because the steps are slightly confusing and I want you to make sense of it. So very first thing, we notice A is bigger than 1. So we're going to slide and do A times C. So that's going to give me x squared plus 5x minus 24. Now we ask, what are two numbers that multiply to be negative 24 but add to be 5? Two numbers that multiply to be 24 but add to be 5. There are lots of factors of 24. I have 2 and 12. I have 3 and 8. I have 4 and 6. The only ones that would combine to be 5 would be 8 and 3. If I had a positive 8 and a negative 3, they would multiply to be negative 24, but add to be a positive 5. So I know that these two factors are going to be x plus 8 and x minus 3. We now must divide by 12. which was our A. So now we're going to simplify fractions if we can't divide. So 8 can't be divided by 12, but both the numerator and the denominator are divisible by 4. 8 divided by 4 is 2. 12 divided by 4 is 3, so that's the fraction 2/3. Both of these numbers are divisible by 3. 3 goes into 3 one time and into 12 4 times. So I have these two factors. Okay, so slide and divide. Sometimes will give us fractional pieces, and that's okay. I'm going to give you the answers for 13 and 14. I'm not working through them, but if you work through them, I want you to see if you got the right answers. So P plus 6 and P minus 8/5. There's the two answers on 13 and 14. So later you can check them to see did you get the correct answers or not. Okay. We're going to continue with some more slide and divide. We're going to finish out some problems. Number 17 here. Very first thing, A is bigger than 1, so we're going to multiply. So I'm going to get y squared minus 5y minus negative 21 times 6 is a negative 126. From there, what are two numbers that multiply to be negative 126 but add to be negative 5? If you don't know factors of 126, this is where your calculator. I'm going to do 126 divided by 2. 2 times 63. Don't think that'll help us. 126 divided by 3. 3 and 42. Still not a difference of 5. 126 divided by 4. That's a decimal. 126 divided by 5 wouldn't work. 6. 6 and 21. We're getting closer, but we still don't have a 5 difference. 126 divided by 7. 7 and 18. Getting closer. 126 divided by 8, that's a decimal. 126 divided by 9. 9 and 14, there's our winner. There is a difference of 5 here. If I have a negative 14 and a positive 9, I would multiply to be negative 126, but add to be negative 5. So my two factors are y minus 14 and y plus 9. Now we must divide. We did the slide. Now we must divide. Divide each of the pieces by 6. So my factors are y minus 14 over 6 is 7/3 if I divide the top and bottom by 2. If I divide the top and bottom by 3, I'm going to get 3/2. Here are my two factors. All right, looking at 18. 18, all of these numbers are divisible by 2, so I know that I have a greatest common factor of 2 that I can take out. 8m squared plus 30m minus 27. Once I take out that greatest common factor, I then notice I still have to do slide and divide. So I have a 2 on the outside that remains. I'm going to have m squared plus 30m. 8 times negative 27 is negative 216. Now we have to ask ourselves, what are two numbers that multiply to be negative 216 but add to be 30? Again, we may not know factors of 216, so I'm just going to put it in the calculator. Divide it by 2, I'm going to write those two factors down. Divide it by 3, I'm going to write those two factors down. Divide it by 4. And I'm going to continue on until I see something that will subtract because we're negative. One's going to have to be negative. Something when the two numbers subtract, I'm going to get 30 left over. 216 divided by 6. 6 and 36. Hey, 36 and a negative 6. When I subtract those, I get 30. So I'm going to have 2m plus 36 times m minus 6. We did the slide. We now have to do the divide piece. 36 divided by 8. 6 divided by 8. All right, simplifying. 2 on the outside. M. 36 divided by 8. Doesn't divide evenly, but if I divide the top and the bottom by 4, I'm going to get 9 halves. And then top and bottom by 2, I'm going to get 3/4. Okay. There's not a greatest common factor out of these, so this is just slide and divide. X squared minus 12x plus 36. Two numbers that multiply to be 36 but add to be negative 12. Two numbers that multiply to be 36 are 6 and 6. X minus 6 times x minus 6. Don't forget we slide, now we divide both of them by 9. So these would simplify into 2/3. Both of them, so we can call it x minus 2/3 squared. All right, our last one on this page or in this section, 8, 56, and 96. First, do they have a common factor? 56 is divisible by 8. Is 96 divisible by 8? Yes, so 8 can come out of all of them. 56 divided by 8 is 7. 96 divided by 8 is 12. Now we're going to ask ourselves, what are two numbers that multiply to be 12 but add to be 7? 3 and 4. So we have an 8 on the outside. Y plus 3 times y plus 4. Those are my two factors. Didn't do any sliding and dividing, or didn't do any sliding, so I don't have to do dividing. All right, I'm gonna stop this and we'll start one more video for the last little section.